Today, an update on the Texas abortion law. The Joe Biden town hall, it did not go great if your name happens to be Joe Biden. And Alec Baldwin discharged a prop gun that killed a crew member and a director on a movie set. We have got a lot to come up today, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez. Happy Friday. By the way, we just want to make a correction. I think I said that wrong. We will get into the story later, but Alec Baldwin discharged a live round from a prop gun, and it did kill one person, wounded someone else. We will get into that later on in the program. I am joined today by the one and only Jakub Williams, BlazeTV contributor Jakub Williams, host of the Jakub Williams Show. Thank you for being here, as always.
Always good.
Also joined by Rob Eno, Blaze media critic, and I love that you're repping our Blaze merch.
Shop.blazemedia.com.
Yes.
Get your stuff before the supply chain doesn't get it to you for Christmas. Do your Christmas shopping now on shop.blazemedia.com.
You've got to do it
Especially get a Let's Go Brandon t-shirt or an Empty Shelf Joe t-shirt.
Yeah.
We got those now, too.
You can tell Rob is like helping run that stuff, and you can tell because he's very passionate about it. Yeah. Very passionate about it. But we do have great merch. You can find it at shop.blazemedia.com. All right, let's get into the headlines. So the Supreme Court, as of the time of this taping, this was like pretty breaking news. In fact, I was over in the think tank with my producer Chris, and Rob just started like cheering at one of the TV screens that we have on. Sadly, we have all of the mainstream media shows to try to stay up to date on what's going on. And Rob just starts cheering, and we're like, What are you talking about? Yeah, and he's cheering at the screen because they had just announced that the Supreme Court today refused again to immediately block the Texas law that bans most abortions after 6 weeks. They said that they are going to fast track their consideration of appeals from the Justice Department and abortion providers in Texas, and they scheduled the arguments for November 1st, but they still were presented once again with an application to enjoin a statute enacted in open disregard for the constitutional rights of women seeking abortion care in Texas. This is from Justice Sonia Sotomayor. She filed the dissent, obviously. But the court overall decided that they were going to turn down that request again. The law will stand until the case is heard at the Supreme Court level. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
I celebrate with Rob for multiple reasons. Of course, we are defending life in the womb and out of it. But how refreshing is it that a court actually rules in favor of life, and a court is actually consistent and holds the fort. It wasn't just the one hit and miss, and so let's keep it going. Hopefully Oklahoma will jump on board soon. They signed their heartbeat bill, so they're going to go after Governor Stitt and the guys over there. But it's refreshing to see some plumb line of law in our country again that's been so lawless, and especially lawless by the courts for about 2 years. So it's refreshing to see them actually defending life.
Am I the only one who's waiting for the other shoe to drop? Like, I'm just like, I want to be optimistic, but I just can't fully get there.
If they were going to immediately get rid of it, they would have immediately got rid of it. But I do have a little bit of that. But I want to go back to what Sotomayor said. That you said that she said what was the exact
and
quote?
let me give you the rest of it too, because it's great.
Exact
It's great. For the second time, the court is presented with an application to enjoin a statute enacted in open disregard of the constitutional rights of women seeking abortion care in Texas. She added, this is my favorite part, for the second time, the court declines to act immediately to protect these women from grave and irreparable harm.
Wow.
Grave and irreparable harm.
So the guy, the baker, right, in Colorado, he didn't want to bake the cake, brought it to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said you can't force the guy to bake a cake. But now he's got other charges, and he came back up because Colorado just disregarded the unconstitutionality. It's funny that when the left disregards court cases over and over and over again, whether it be on the Second Amendment and does more onerous gun regulations, which we'll talk about a little bit later, guns, but more onerous gun regulations, even after the Supreme Court said that you can't, they keep going back. But when, lo and behold, a state like Texas tries to protect life, and if I remember correctly, I mean, I was in the womb of an unwed teenage mother on the day that the government said that they could kill me in 1973 when Roe v. Wade came down. Just want to point that out. But what I remember from that is one of the things that they did, and why you could still have limitations on third trimester abortions, was it was viability. That if there could be viability outside of the womb. That's coming down. It's like at 19, 18 weeks now. Yeah. We've not updated it. So they've said, you know what? We'll just wait until you're biologically a human with a human heartbeat.
Right.
And that's what this law is. And so it is different than what Roe v. Wade ruled on. Roe v. Wade actually had as part of it viability out of the womb of a fetus.
Yeah. I just, it just strikes me as incredible that the lack of self-awareness from people like Justice Sotomayor, who says that we need to protect these women from grave and irreparable harm. And I just can't help but think, isn't it the babies who are being killed who are really being harmed irreparably here?
That's the irreparable harm is death.
I feel
What's the irreparable harm? If you don't want irreparable harm in your definition, don't get pregnant.
Yeah.
There are methods for you not to get pregnant. Don't sleep around. Maybe don't breed a promiscuous culture that sexualizes teenagers.
Now, people would say there are people they would say there are people who are raped.
And I would still say, as horrible as rape is, Sarah, right? God is the creator. That child still has a right to live. And it's terrible. Rape is terrible. That's my stance. This is not the network stance. Rape is terrible. I hear you.
No, I think the network also says rape is terrible.
But the network says rape is terrible, but I said that child still has a right to live. The second you start picking balls and strikes about who gets to live and who doesn't, you're in a gray vacuum, and it's an endless pit. That argument doesn't stop. So either life is sacred or it's not.
Yeah. And you have over 60 million dead people.
That's it.
Do you also find it a little frightening, like I do, that you have an actual Supreme Court justice who is saying that it is a constitutional right for women to have abortions?
I mean,
these are supposed to be the experts on
if you go with Roe v. Wade, but I mean, Dred Scott was a bad decision too.
It's not a constitutional
right. That's not a constitutional right, though. That would be a case precedent.
They say that they based it on the Constitution, and that's why it's a constitution. It's not an enumerated constitutional right.
But you see how they're using this language. They're using semantics to try to shift the culture into thinking that is actually in the Constitution.
Half the people they speak to, Sarah, haven't read the Constitution. Half the people they speak to don't know the Constitution. This is why I say, know the law of the land. Understand the rights you have in this country, because they'll tell you it's a constitutional right, and people will go march on that.
When in fact the opposite is true, because it is a constitutional right that you have the right to life.
Yes, correct.
It's almost and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, but you have the right to life right there in the Constitution.
Feels like the Garden of Eden when Satan comes and says, well, does it really mean this or does it really mean that? A little doubt, sow a little doubt, a little leaven.
These are the same people, I mean, I know we're going to get to it later, but that, openly cheered the President of the United States when he laughed about people having freedom. Yeah. So, I mean, it's the same people.
Yeah.
It's
That's fair. You know what, let's switch to that now. I have a feeling we'll be getting into this now and then continue it after the break. But let's get into this Joe Biden town hall. Rob, as you pointed out, there were some interesting moments in this town hall. I was actually shocked that Joe Biden agreed to do it in the first place. But let's go through some of these clips that we have here. Of course, there were several moments where you go, "Ooh, what is this man doing? Is he short-circuiting? Has he lost his mind? Is he alive?" Like, you want someone to kind of flick him and make sure that he's okay. Let's first go to the Joe Biden. Let's get through the ones with less substance now. We'll kind of move the opposite way here. So let's go to Joe Biden. During one of Anderson Cooper's questions, he just, those of you who are listening on audio, you got to go and watch it for yourself. He's just standing there with his hands clenched, not moving, not doing anything, just standing there listening to the question, and it's just very bizarre to watch.
about that, with just in terms of inflation, because you had told us at a town hall, I think it was in July, that this was just near-term inflation. The Wall Street Journal recently talked to like 67 financial experts who said that they saw high inflation going all the way or deep into 2022.
What?
Yeah, there's.
Play it again. Play that. We don't have to listen to the audio. Can we just play it while we're talking? Yeah,
there's neuro misfire. There's neuromuscular issues going on.
This is, and again, it's sad, but
that is not normal
this
behavior.
Is also this is the president of the United States. This is supposed to be the person in the highest office in the country. So, forgive me if I'm not too saddened about it more than I am very upset that everyone has still elevated him to this position. Rob, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, there is obvious cognitive decline. Mm-hmm. They hid for it. Katie Couric admitted that people hide things all the time. It was on something different. It was the Ruth Bader Ginsburg thing, but that's what the media does. They hid for him. There's a reason that he has every single one of his press conferences and appearances at 10 a.m. in the morning and not at night. And we're seeing why.
Yeah, how many times did we see Joe Biden's called a lid today and it was 9 a.m.?
Yeah. Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. But all of his events, all of his events that you see on TV are all before noon Eastern time.
Right.
No matter what part of the country he's in, because I don't think he can cognitively function later than that. There's some things, and you'll probably show it. One of the late stage signs of Alzheimer's is people clenching their fists all the time, and he kind of showed that sort of thing. As Elijah says, the ice cream. It's amazing to me that this person is the president of the United States, and we're not watching the movie Dave.
Yeah, look, under pressure, the weakest link always shows, right? This is what we always say.
Yeah, that's the fist clenching.
The fist clenching. Yeah,
under pressure, the weakest link shows. You're going to show where things are broken, and I think that kind of direct line of questioning he has never done well with as a president. And in the line of fire, in the public, he's probably anticipating being cornered, anticipating having an episode, because at this point in time, he must also know when it's coming. And so I think he's just under so much, I honestly think this guy's under so much pressure. You're going to see all the quirks, the twerks, all the different things are going to come out. And that is indicative of misfire. You said misfire earlier, I think you did, or ceasing or whatever. It's very alarming. Yeah. If you saw that, I would say this, if you saw that with another leader, if you saw Kim Jong or you saw Putin or somebody behave this way, the world would be abuzz, going, what's up? If it happened one time, right? This happens daily, frequently.
Yeah. All right. Let's get more into this after the break, because we have a few other clips to play, namely the one Rob referred to earlier. You guys and you think that you have freedom. That's so cute, and you hear the audience chuckle about it. It is very alarming to hear from the President of America. We'll get into that after the break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Bonner Wines, which, as you guys know, I do have to keep with me at all times. You just never know when the mood might strike. Rob, I gave you a bottle
and I got
Bonner.
some more from them last week, and I had some in the high altitude of Colorado. The high altitude wine stacks up in the high altitude of Colorado.
Yeah.
When I was on a little mini vacation last week, so it's really, really good stuff.
It is. It's great. Did you eat a steak with it? What did you eat with it?
I had a steak. I brought my sous vide on vacation with me. And
wonderful!
Did a little sous vide steak and
love it.
Made a steak at the little. It kind of was like a timeshare type thing, but
yeah, that's great.
Had it with a steak, it was fantastic.
That's awesome.
Great wine.
Well, we only accept medium rare steak on this program if you are going to pair it with a steak, but it really pairs great with a steak. As Rob mentioned, the vineyards, the grapes are grown in Argentina at 9,000 feet. So you are getting a wine that is truly, truly unique, and they're not going to have inflated prices. You are getting top quality wine for half the price. You're cutting out the middleman. Don't go to the grocery store and get your wine there. Get it directly from Bonner. My audience gets 50% off today. No promo code is necessary. All you have to do is go over to cowgirlwine2021.com. Go get you some. They are flying off the shelves, so hurry. Okay, cowgirlwine2021.com. Joe Biden, as we mentioned, had a town hall last night. And during that town hall, he also said that he would be open to ending the Senate filibuster to ram through a sweeping federal overhaul of the United States elections and, of course, other parts of his agenda. But he did add that pushing to end the filibuster now would kill any chance of passing his economic agenda. He says that he would entertain the notion of doing away with the filibuster, but just on the one issue. And certainly this isn't going to be a slippery slope at all, I'm sure. Here's Joe Biden saying that.
It still is difficult to end the filibuster beyond that. That's another issue.
But are you saying once you get this current agenda passed on spending and social programs, that you would be open to fundamentally altering the filibuster or doing away with it?
Well, that remains to be seen. Exactly what that means in terms of fundamentally altering it, whether or not we just end the filibuster straight up. There are certain things that are just sacred rights. One's a sacred obligation that we never going to renege on a debt. We're the only nation in the world. We have never, ever reneged on a single debt.
But when it comes to voting rights,
voting rights is equally as consequential.
When it comes to voting rights, just so I'm clear, though, you would entertain the notion of doing away with the filibuster on that one issue. Is that correct?
And maybe more.
And maybe other issues.
So, yes, if you're, you may think you missed something. You didn't. That's just how it all unfolded. Yeah, no, I know.
No,
we can't. Well, we can't do that. Okay, yes, I'll do it, and maybe more.
Maybe more. And it's the hands in the pockets.
Yeah.
I mean, that is not a position of strength.
No,
the hands in the pockets.
No.
That's a slumped over, resigned. You know, it's amazing to see.
Looking at the ground. Look at him looking at the ground.
He's guilty. He's guilty. This man can't make eye contact with Anderson Cooper, for crying out loud, okay?
Who really is, his main job there is to bail Joe Biden out.
Absolutely.
When he needs
Are
it.
you kidding? This is an ally.
Yeah.
He can't make eye contact with an ally. He's got his hands in his pocket like he's a weird dude at a kid's playground. You know, this is not a guy to be trusted. And mark my words, he means what he says at the end there, and maybe more.
Right.
Because what they have in the pipeline, what they've shown behind the curtain to Joe, what they would like to do, they being the Obamas and those who really pull the strings that's attached to his shoulders that you can't see, right? The puppeteers. They want to do a whole lot more. They want to fundamentally change our nation from the core. They want to take and strip rights, and he means it there, and maybe more. No, not maybe. This is the agenda, and this should rock Americans, that he's this incompetent and has this much power.
And it is interesting, too, because that really was a pretty gentle push from Anderson Cooper.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
nothing.
It was a very gentle pushback. And to go from saying all of the jargon that Biden had just said, making it sound like he was like, well, you know, we don't want to, well, all right.
Fine.
All right, I'll do it.
And more.
Yeah, and more.
And like he has the ability to do it. He's the president. It's a separate branch of of the government.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that like just. Yeah. And this goes back to the election, right? You said they want to push through things, and it's what Republicans don't do. They have an 8-seat majority in the House of Representatives. If 4 people in swing districts switch tomorrow, Kevin McCarthy would be the Speaker of the House of Representatives. They have a 0-person majority. They have a tie-breaking majority in the Senate. In the media, in the administration, and everyone makes it look like they have a tremendous mandate to do anything. Joe Biden got elected because he didn't send mean tweets, and people were sick of Donald Trump and the controversy surrounding Donald Trump. They almost lost the House. They almost lost the Senate as they took the presidency. There is no mandate here, and it's what Republicans don't do. If Republicans acted like these guys acted when Donald Trump won the election and they had both houses of Congress, we'd be in a much different place right now.
Rob, we couldn't keep the House for 2 years because we go to sleep. Whenever we get any sort of power in the GOP, we go to sleep. We don't push through any boundary or any wall.
Right.
There's no guts because the ones that actually lead the GOP don't play for a party. They're in one party. They're in the same party. They're in the let's croak at the Senate party. Let's stay here forever. The Mitch McConnells and those kind of guys. They're not standing for anything that we actually believe in. If they did, they would take the position we have right now and go bulldoze.
But the left does it. The fact that the leaders of the Republican Party, that Kevin McCarthy isn't going right now, as they're doing this crazy stuff, to the 8 or 9 members that are supposedly moderates, that are in districts that Donald Trump won, and saying, look, this is going to be nasty for you next year.
Yeah, we're
Come
coming
with
for
us
you.
now.
Yes.
Or we're coming for you.
Yeah, but they don't do it.
They don't do it.
Yeah. I would just sum that up to say the Republicans in office don't have any balls. All right, so one more, I would say the most frightening part of this town hall. Biden was asked about the first responders and police officers who are refusing the vaccine, even though there is a mandate, and whether or not they should be forced to remain at home or be fired. Here is that exchange.
This is a busman's holiday for you guys, having to come in here and me. But thank you.
Mr. President, let me ask you a follow-up about that. As many as 1 in 3 emergency responders in some cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, right here in Baltimore, are refusing to comply with city vaccine mandates. I'm wondering where you stand on that. Should police officers, emergency responders, be mandated to get vaccines? And if not, should they be stay at home or let go?
Yes and yes. By the way, I waited until
communists
July to talk about mandating because I tried everything else possible. The mandates are working. All the stuff about people leaving and people getting it, you have everyone from United Airlines to Spirit, all these airlines. We're not going to get all 96, 97% of the people have gotten the vaccine. All the talk about all these folks who are going to leave the military if they're mandated. Not true. You got about a 90-some% vaccination rate. I mean, so the idea is that, look, the two things that concern me. One are those who just try to make this a political issue. Freedom. I have the freedom to kill you with my COVID. No, I mean, come on. Freedom. Number one. Number two, the second one is that, the gross misinformation that's out there.
The gross misinformation that's out there.
From your party.
That is rich, coming from the
party.
man who just spewed a ton of lies.
Good
now
gracious.
he wants to talk about the gross misinformation coming out there. It's incredible.
96%. 96%. If 96%, you said you needed 98%. If 96% of the military or 96% of first responders were vaccinated, why are we having this conversation? This guy lies. I actually think he's never telling the truth.
No, and that's the thing. I've got people that are Republican conservative friends of mine. They're like, oh, this is just a public union negotiating tactic. They're trying to get something. That's what they do. But the misinformation, he's obviously talking about like vaccine misinformation and things like that. I mean, I don't know if you saw Steve Deace from the Steve Deace Show here on BlazeTV tweeted out a report that Alex Berenson, the most dangerous man in news because he was, a real journalist until real journalism was, outlawed by the social media companies. A UK report on page 23 of the latest UK vaccine report, it says that people that got COVID and have both vaccines have lower immune responses than not.
Which also goes along with all of the other science that we've been seeing.
Right, we're a
how this
non-science
vaccine works.
The real
party,
science.
and we're the only. I think we're one of a few. We might be the only. I think we're the only country that is greenlit this for like 5-year-olds to go. What I don't think people understand, and what gets me absolutely, utterly ticked off. Now I have both. I have 2 vaccines because I have diabetes. I got them.
You don't even have to explain yourself, Rob. It's your choice.
Right. Yeah. I have the 2 vaccines,
you don't need to explain
But-
yourself.
Exactly.
Here's the deal. mRNA vaccines are not traditional normal vaccines. The way that an mRNA vaccine works is it takes messenger RNA, it injects it into your cells, and it in fact turns your cells into a bioreactor to create an artificial substance that your body doesn't make. That's what they do. They're supposed to stay in your arm area. We've seen that they've gone to other parts of the body. You're sending you're programming your cells with genetic material, not with DNA. Okay, Facebook, you're going to say it's not right to say that they alter DNA. They don't alter DNA. But messenger RNA is genetic material. You're turning your cells into a bioreactor like Genzyme and Pfizer and biotech companies all do with Chinese hamster ovary cells and E. coli cells to make drugs. You're turning your body into that. Putting that into a 5-year-old developing person's body, altering the genetic material that goes into their cells, should be a crime, shouldn't be something that is being advocated by the... Now, if this was a regular vaccine and put little spike proteins in, and then your body, like the T cells were like, okay, I know what those are, I'm not going to do it, that's fine. That's not what this is doing.
It's not fine to me.
It's
it's still not fine to me, but you're weakening the immune system of a child now to the place where that child's body is not going to be able to detect foreign bodies from what's dangerous and what's not. And there's no question. Other nations have these studies out. And yes, take the vaccine. You don't have to justify it. But the second you start playing with children with these things, I start saying, bigger picture, bigger agenda. This is not about science. It's got nothing to do with the health of people, because if they actually cared, they know the child is healthy. So I'm just telling you, this is a program to social engineer.
And I think that's the issue, I think, at heart, is that children are not at risk, generally speaking,
Absolutely
from
not.
this disease. So as if we need a vaccine to protect all of these children when they are not at risk is just mind-boggling to me. I do want to leave you guys with one more point on this particular clip, which is it should terrify everyone that the President of the United States actually, number one, said, I wanted you guys to feel like you were getting the freedom to choose. I waited as long as I could, and then I had to do the mandate because you guys weren't listening. Your freedom is an illusion, is what he is trying to tell you. And then he laughs about your freedom. Freedom, please. You don't have the freedom to kill anyone, as if we have not operated in a free society with transmissible diseases until 2020. It's incredible to me that now all of a sudden they view you being in a free society with transmissible diseases as somehow killing people. So, by the way, brought to you by the same party that called Donald Trump a fascist. Would just like to point that out. All right, we got to take a break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar, which I just got a new box today, and I'm really excited, you guys. Like, literally, I just saw this as I was coming onto the set.
You're pulling out all the tricks from the table.
Am I going to... Okay. I don't know if I'm supposed to share this with you guys. Well, first of all, they gave me some blueberry muffin ones that I am dying to try, because this is a new flavor, is blueberry muffin. But they included, I think that these are going to be like limited run flavors, a puff that's pumpkin flavored.
For the season.
Pumpkin flavored puffs. Yeah, I think it's like a Halloween. So
That's so
be on the
basic,
lookout. This is my basic white girl flavor.
I tell you.
Be on the lookout for these. I can't wait to try one. It is a wonderful idea for a fall flavor. So I'm going to stuff my face with Built Bars and Built Puffs basically after this show, is what I'm telling you. If you have not yet tried Built Bar, you have to. It's a protein bar, but it tastes like a candy bar. But you're not actually eating a candy bar. You are eating something that is not going to expand your waistline. If you love chocolate and you love things delicious, you got to try Built Bar. Go to Built.com. Use promo code NEWS15. You'll save 15% off of your order over at Built.com. Promo code NEWS15. An absolute tragedy unfolding in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Actor Alec Baldwin apparently discharged a prop firearm on a movie set, and it apparently had a live round in it. He ended up killing the director of photography for the film and wounding the director of the film. This is according to the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office. Alec Baldwin there have been no charges filed as of the time of this taping. He was very distraught. I know he posted on Twitter earlier that he was fully cooperating with the sheriff's office. He says, "There are no words to convey my shock and sadness regarding the tragic accident that took the life of Halnia Hutchins, a wife, mother, and deeply admired colleague of ours. I'm fully cooperating with the police investigation to address how this tragedy occurred. And I am in touch with her husband, offering my support to him and his family. My heart is broken for her husband, their son, and all who knew and loved Halnia." I'm interested to get your thoughts, gentlemen. I know that there is a lot of facts of this case that still have yet to develop. How in the world, namely live ammunition, got into this prop gun that was on a movie set waiting to be fired, and how Alec Baldwin got a hold of it and was not shown did not know, did not check. There's just a lot of questions that I have. But certainly I wouldn't wish this on anyone because I'm sure this is something that just stays with you for life.
I want to take an interesting angle on this. As a film director, I direct, I have guns in the films we shoot, and there's checks and balances, incredible checks and balances. And you have to understand, it goes through systems. You've got a prop union, the prop master, the director, you know, the actor. So there's a couple things I want to say. This is what happens and can happen on a film set when you make COVID the priority. There are zones now on film sets, COVID zones, where you can't walk, and it is adjudicated so strenuously, and here comes a live round and makes it into a weapon. Number one, yes, the prop master should have checked it. The director is also ultimately also responsible. It's your film set. You know, the actor himself, though, here's a veteran actor, okay, who has handled many weapons in his life, probably not trained or just negligent, because it's still at the end of the day. I've been shooting guns since I was 5 years old. When the weapon is in your hand, at the end of the day, no matter who's to blame, who snuck a whatever happened, however that live round got in the chamber, the gun is in your hand. Your fingers on the trigger. You are responsible to check that weapon. Is something in the chamber? Is something in the magazine? If I'm an actor, even as a director, there's almost paranoia on a set when there's guns on a set, okay? So this shouldn't happen. Kind of like way back when John Landis had a helicopter crash on the film set of Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller. Helicopter crashed, kids died. It was a malfunction of the actual equipment of the helicopter. A gun doesn't shoot itself. A human being fires the round, and at the end of the day, the buck, ultimately, you've got to check. But there's so many checks and balances that the way it made it through that whole system is mind-blowing to me.
And it just makes you wonder, Rob, if, you know, I mean, I have a feeling Alec Baldwin is fairly anti-gun, but it just makes you wonder if he had taken the time to become a little bit more educated on guns, whether he would have checked, because as Yaku said, I mean, that's like one of the basic things that you learn when you become educated with your firearm, is that number one, you're constantly having to check, but number two, you of course don't ever fire at something you don't intend to kill, but... Right,
you don't point it at somebody else.
On a movie set, I realize that's a little different, but that's why you have to check.
And I mean, we don't know still, was he like joshing around with them, like pointing a gun, like we don't know if this happened during.
I saw a report that I cannot confirm the validity of it.
All I'm saying is we don't know. So we don't know.
Right.
But it is ultimately your responsibility as the person with the gun to know exactly what is in the gun, how the gun works, what's happening with the gun. I am a clumsy person. It's why I don't own a gun, because I would be afraid to do something like this. I trip like walking down the stairs, right? So, I mean, those are things that I'm not going to do, but I'm responsible enough to not know that. What I hope this does is I hope that this brings, I would say, an awareness that Hollywood actors, if they're going to go on sets and they're going to have weapons, that they might want to take an evil NRA course, or even if it's not the NRA, somebody else, to learn how to handle a gun. Because like you said, at the end of the day, I think I heard somebody, and it might have been you before, that normally when these things happen, the prop guy shows them that the gun's empty. They go through there's supposed to be a bunch of checks and balances to make sure that gun is not going to fire.
They are there, and typically what would happen, you have to remember, you shoot a movie out of sequence and in multiple takes. I don't know what take this was. Was it take 20? Which means he might have fired 20 times by this time, right? So the guns are being handled, and typically what you would do as a director, after every take, your prop master walks in, takes the gun. This is what you should be doing. Now, so if there was negligence there, is it a revolver? We don't know. Is it a pistol? Is it revolving? Are they reloading blanks because he's firing multiple takes? If it's a 6-gun shooter, right? You know, now you shot 6 takes, you're reloading the gun. So there's a lot of activity on a film set. There's 170 people. There's so many moving parts on a film set, right? But the fact that they are more concerned about COVID crackdown, I promise you on that film set they had zones, A, B, C zones, where you can move through different zones, and maybe even the zone system inhibited some people to enter the zone close to the actor, not to give them COVID, to check the dang gun often enough or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if it was something like that. But there's a lot going through an actor's mind, and I feel so bad for Alec. Terrible for Alec, and it's terrible. I mean, this is a tragedy, but this is why. The amount of guns that's used on a film set for this to happen, there are very strict protocols at the moment on film sets. There are ways to do this, but still, at the end of the day, when your finger's on a trigger, you need to know what's inside that weapon.
Which, I mean, I feel like is a fair statement, considering these are the people who have said this for years, right? Like, you should be mandated to take a safety course. You should be mandated to do all these things. We should make it very hard for you to own a weapon. I mean, these are people who are saying that, right? So you would hope that they would expect that out of themselves.
Many people are liable here. I mean, the props union said it's a live round. So the union said, hey, because there's unions and unions, okay? So the prop master of the union, somebody put a live round in either a magazine or in a revolver. Somebody got a live round in there. Could have been a pure accident, but it should have been caught somewhere. So you can't just blame Alec, but still everybody on that set that's in the decision-making process, director, not the DP's role. The DP focuses on the camera, but the director, the AD, the assistant director, is the director's separate set of eyes. Who's the AD? The AD is the one that runs the set, by the way, if you don't know. By the clock, by the minute, the AD controls what happens in the makeup room, what makeups use, continuity. This is a continuity issue. Where's the continuity, a person on the set, the props handler. There's so many people that this had to pass by. Yeah. It's not just one person.
Yeah.
It's tragic.
Yeah, it really is tragic, and of course our thoughts and prayers out to, of course, the families of all of those who are affected. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back. I want to talk about the state of the economy before we have to end the program. And I'm smiling. I like to live by the motto, you laugh so you don't cry, which is really, I feel like, where we're at as a society every day. It seems like we've got all of these supply chain issues. The Biden administration says, well, that's just because people are like so loaded now. They're so rich because wages are up that they're just spending. They can't spend their money enough on things. We're seeing high gas prices. We're seeing everything inflate. There was an interesting story on the New York Post today about how New York City prices are rising, not just for your grocery bills, which is interesting because I was still enjoying the 16 cents that we saved on our July 4th cookouts, but not just your grocery bills, also for things like blowouts, mani-pedis, and pizza, they said. So they listed some of these prices. One of them was pizza. Previous price, $3 for a regular slice, $4.50 for a square. Those prices are increasing. How about this one? Bagels and lox went from $13.75 to $13.95. Dry cleaning is going up. Inexpensive wine is going up, $9.99 to $11.99. Plants are going up, so people are out there trying to plant new things for their garden. $25 for popular plants went to $40. A mani-pedi's gone from $35 to $40. So it's things that, you might not think of. Here's my favorite. Tequila cocktails. I have an issue with you, Joe Biden. You made my tequila cocktail go from $12 to $16, $12 all the way to $18. How dare you? How dare you? That is unforgivable. All right. So all of these things, these parts of normal everyday life for a lot of Americans, not just people in New York City, that they are going to have to figure out how to pay for, on top of, as I already mentioned, the ever rising gas prices, the grocery store bills, everything else. I just feel like I have to ask this question. When is America going to wake up? Is this going to be it?
I don't know.
Do you think that the average American who voted for Joe Biden is going to realize when they pay increased prices for all of these? Are they going to realize that they are the ones who ultimately indirectly
I don't think they're going to
this?
realize that they're the ones that did it. I think you see a lot of buyer's remorse in polling. I think that you're going to see in some of these states that have their state elections in an off year that people are going to vote their anger on things like this. I think you're going to see Terry McAuliffe, who's not the incumbent, but he might as well be an incumbent because he's been the governor before, lose in Virginia. And I saw an interesting one today, a race that was 13 points different was the New Jersey governor's race a month and a half ago. The latest polling showed it as a 6-point race, but 4 points with leaners that the Democratic incumbent governor. I have friends in New Jersey that think that might be one to watch. I mean, if the Democrats lose the governorship of New Jersey and they lose the governorship in the legislature again in Virginia, a lot of it's going to be pointed to this quote unquote transitory, it's only here for a little time, inflation, which is absolute poppycock. It's what this administration wants to do. You will have friends, people that listen to the News and Why It Matters on the podcast or see us on YouTube, that will tell you, well, the president has nothing to do with gas prices. This president, in the first week and a half of his administration, put through a series of executive orders that were meant to destroy the oil and gas industry because it was an evil thing.
Which
policy
he said.
matters.
He admitted.
He said it in the first week and a half. He did it.
Yeah.
It's time that you
all
start.
Those deals. All those deals.
Yeah.
Look, here's the deal. The second, and I said it. Oh, it's so funny how when gas prices go up, everything else go up. Yeah, because it's got to be transported. Gas prices up 25%. There's your cocktail, your tequila, probably up 40%, right?
I'm pissed.
But I hope, you should be. I hope this happens. The buyer's remorse happens. But what I have seen is those who have voted for Biden, there's such a disconnect. They're the ones complaining also, going, I can't believe things are so expensive. Yeah, you idiot. You voted for this policy. This is a mindset. Understand that the people you vote for actually affect change in your country. And this guy is about driving us into socialism, where if you add it all up, really add it all up, you're going to end up paying 65% tax in this country, and you're going to pay. You know what I'm happy about? Really happy about? When I saw that picture of that ship with all the containers, that your products are made in the USA. You don't have to worry that your lipstick is stuck on a ship, Sarah.
My
Make
lipstick
it in
is
America.
made in
Buy
USA.
American.
Well, but that's an interesting point, and I know we're running out of time, but there are a lot of American companies who are still having problems because
sourcing.
Yes,
of course.
because materials come from other
it.
places.
I understand, but it's a little different than if it's made across the water and it still needs to come. Then sourcing, I get it.
I mean, it's a problem for everyone. It's going to resonate with everyone. Last word, real quick.
Anecdotes. I drove across the country again, went up to Colorado, like I said last week. The length of trains that you see are significantly shorter now in October than they were in May. It was very pronounced to me that the containers, the container trains that you saw in May of last year when I went out to Arizona compared to October of this year, much shorter, less containers on it. You can see it.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back.
Yeah, you see it on the shelves. I mean, I went into Kohl's the other day.
Well, it's Friday, and that means we're going to upset Yaku with Hate Mail Friday, because you, along with, I think there's some people in the audience too. It makes them very angry.
Yeah, I don't
want me to do it.
I've got a different sense of humor. I don't find this kind of stuff funny. These are fighting words for me.
Well, take that, internet trolls. All right. So here, my producer pulled some sort of mean comment about me that I now have to read on air. So there was a video that the Blaze tweeted out, a clip from our show, and this is actually one of my trolls who comments all the time. What's wrong with her throat and 5-head? So, well, I would just say, troll Morton Mania 1, that you actually don't have a picture of yourself online, and I feel like there's a reason for that. Okay, he has an avatar of Charlie Kirk instead of himself. So, and what's up with my throat is that I'm fit. Yeah. You may not be used to seeing that, or any women at all, really, but that's what's going on with my throat. Just thought I'd point that out. Thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you Monday.